Welcome everyone to the Greene County Chamber of Commerce webinar with discussion with John Hewa, who is the President and CEO of Rappahannock Electric Cooperative. REC has just been such a great partner of the Chamber and of the community. I know that even just this past weekend, they helped support the red, white, and blue and do the cruise through the lights. They're always helping us light up the holidays, so we really appreciate all of their support and everything that they do for the community. John is recently became the president and CEO of REC. He's got 20 years of leadership experience in the electric utility industry with an emphasis in technology and management of public and cooperative public power utilities. His experience also spans technical and executive roles managing electric, water, wastewater, and wireless and fiber optic telecommunication systems, which we are always very interested to hear about in Greene. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn that over to Mr. Hewa. And at the end, we'll have time for questions. You can put them in either the chat or the Q&A, and we'll go through those if you have anything. Thank you.
Great. Well, good morning, and thank you, Sherry. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the webinar today with the Greene County Chamber and its membership. And let me just first and foremost say that I hope that 2020 is each of you are being safe and able to navigate this very challenging year and the pandemic. And now, if you're out and about today with the weather conditions, certainly safety needs to be top of mind, and we wish everyone the very best in this winter storm that's coming across. Again, I'm the president and CEO at Rappahannock Electric. It's actually today on our session, Oliver Price, one of our customer relationship managers and directors, is on the session with me today, and really appreciate Oliver's presence as well. And there may be a few other REC team members that zoom in and join. But I'm going to provide just I've got a little bit of time here. I'm going to provide kind of a little bit of an overview of our industry, and then we're going to drill down into Rappahannock and talk a little bit about your co-op. Many of you are member owners of REC, so we'll and then we'll take kind of a picture tour, if you will, pictorial tour over the co-op and talk a little bit about some of the diversity of our service territory, what's happening in our industry, and some of the things that we're working on today at REC. So at the highest level, the electric sector is a nearly $400 billion sector that of course powers up our nation. There are over 1 million megawatts of capacity and 4 trillion kilowatt hours of electricity delivered. There won't be a test at the end of today's session, but I thought I'd give you a couple little facts and figures along the way. Now within that, the electric co-op network is about a little, less than 15% of the electricity sector. So co-ops comprise less than 15%. But we're very, very powerful when you look at the co-op network as a national network, and really cooperation among cooperatives is a really strong element of what we do at REC and with co-ops across the Commonwealth and in other states and at the national level. So today, and if you're following along on the slides, today there are some 900 electric co-ops across the nation serving 42 million Americans. And I think what's even more remarkable, beyond the fact that there are 900 of us, is really 2 facts. One, and I think these are kind of often underestimated. Electric co-ops cover their service territories cover 56% of the nation's landmass, which is pretty remarkable. Additionally, co-ops per service in 88% of all U.S. counties. And I think most people don't realize how large the national co-op network is. Now, let's drill down a little bit here within REC's region and our territory. And today, your co-op is powering up portions of really 22 beautiful Virginia counties. We have about a 4,000 square mile service territory, 170,000 and growing connections. We've added about 3,500 connections this year, even with the pandemic, and we've still continued to see a lot of growth, which has been a real challenge for our team. Your REC team powers up, maintains, and operates over 17,000 miles of power lines. And we do that with about 439 employees and the help of some contract support as well. So when you just kind of start to take it all in, what's really fascinating, I think very remarkable about REC today and our electric co-op model in general is the tradition and the history of our model with over 80 years of co-op service, but also the new and technological ways that we are leaning on new solutions. But let me just say before I go a step further, everything we do, and really everything we do, is founded in great employees and great team members. And today, again, with this snowstorm, and here we are in 2020, the year of many challenges, until we have our first major snow event of the year, which is going to be pretty significant across certain aspects of our territory. Here again, we'll be calling on our team members, from our great team members in the field, expecting them to get out there and do their job safely, but also maintain that REC responsiveness. And we'll also be leaning on our members in the contact center and our employees in the call center and the contact center, working with members to get them information about the outages. So more on that later. If we take a quick look at Greene County within REC's footprint, we have just under 10,000 meters or counts and just over 1,000 miles of line. So again, that ratio of 10 accounts per mile is pretty typical across our service territory. It's our system average. Does vary in certain pockets, but about 10 accounts. That could be homes, businesses, wells, barns, but about 10 accounts per mile. Now within the county, we serve a number of larger and accounts that folks might be familiar with. Of course, the school board and all the facilities associated with the schools. The Institute for Highway Safety, which I've got a picture of that later on, and then Loan, for instance, and many others. So I mentioned our folks in the contact center, and really they do a remarkable job. Our values lead with caring, and caring service, I think, is a really big hallmark of what REC does, and really speaks to the way we go about doing what we do. Yes, we have a very exciting industry. It's an industry that's changing a lot. It's very hard work. It's very difficult work. But one of the themes that we always seek to carry through in what we're doing is the caring element. And I'll say that couldn't be more critical than dealing with some of the hardships that we've had to help navigate for families and businesses this past year, where jobs and livelihood was disrupted with COVID, continues to be disrupted. And so that's been a real test for our team members. So proud of what they've been able to accomplish, and the caring style of REC, even in this pandemic challenge, has been very, very, very important. That also is noted in the work that we do in the communities with local government, chambers of commerce, schools, nonprofit entities. So our caring element is really one of the themes that drives REC going forward. So if we just take a kind of a high level look at our role in the community, one of the things that there's kind of two stories here. First and foremost, our employees themselves. Our employees live and work in the community alongside those that we serve. And so our employees, first and foremost, are very generous of their time and of their resources. We've got countless cases throughout the year of our employees stepping up to help folks, whether it be an organized event or sometimes just help someone alongside the road when help is needed. And our employees are constantly stepping up and just doing remarkable deeds in that spirit. Our formal programs involve both employee giving, but also what co-ops do really well is bringing together people with a common interest to accomplish something. And today, our Power of Change program has over 27,000 REC member owners that are voluntarily rounding up their power bills every month. And so this year alone, REC will put about $200,000 back into the community between our internal funding programs and our external membership, our Power of Change. We will contribute and invest about $200,000 back into the communities that we serve across those 22 counties. We also have scholarship programs. The deadline for 2021 will be in January. I believe it's around January the 25th. So if you have a student that's interested in an REC scholarship, let us know. And traditionally, we've also had a youth tour to DC and working with lawmakers in Richmond and DC. That's been paused until we can get through the pandemic, and we're hoping that program will come back strong in the years ahead. Now, in Greene County, again, we've been involved with the youth tour, with our scholarships, with donations and sponsorships, and historically just very involved in events in person. Again, many of those events have taken on a different approach this year. We've been flexible and accommodated where we can those needs. But again, as we get into 2021 and get clearer skies ahead with respect to COVID, you can expect to see REC even more at community events in the future, and making sure that we're helping sponsor and support and do our part to make these events successful. Now, our board members were governed by a 9-member board of directors, and each member resides in a different region of the co-op. These board members are elected by the membership. Our last annual meeting was in August, and we had over 20,600 members participate in our director elections. That was a record turnout for us, and it was really a great indication of the growing democracy at REC. If you have an opportunity on one of these snowy days, take a look at our website at myrec.coop. And if you are interested in the governance elements of the co-op, governance and policy, there is a wealth of information about our board and the policies that drive the co-op in the governance and document centers. A lot of additional tools about some of the energy technologies and ways to save cost on a monthly basis. And of course, there's ways on our website to report and outages and communicate with the co-op on service needs. Now, some local contacts for those of you, again, in Greene County. I mentioned our 9-member board, Darlene Carpenter. Darlene's region actually encompasses Greene County. Our board members all act for the good of the whole co-op. So they act on behalf of the entirety of the co-op. But again, we do have directors that are from specific regions, and Darlene covers Greene County. John Arp is our vice president, our newly appointed vice president of engineering, operations, and power supply. And he was previously the manager over our Culpeper and Blue Ridge offices, our regional offices, the Blue Ridge office being in the Front Royal area. Oliver, whom I mentioned earlier, Director of Member Services and Community Relations, and thank you, Oliver, for being on the session today and all that you're doing to work with REC and the communities and keep our communities informed and help solve needs out there. Chris Sieber heads up our Member Services group, and her team has done a phenomenal job working with members during the pandemic. And then Casey Hollins. And Casey's an important contact for community events. Casey handles many of our community events and our communications as well. But if there's a nonprofit that is participating in the session today, or if you know of a nonprofit in need, Casey is an outstanding contact to help put those agencies and organizations in touch with REC for to learn more about our community grants and our other programs that could be of assistance. Now, during the pandemic, and for the last many months now, we've really taken on a very different approach in terms of our operational aspects of our business. And let me just say, first of all, I couldn't be more proud and thankful of the responsiveness of our employees, the flexibility of our employees, and the flexibility of the REC membership. We've asked the members we've asked you all to interact with us in different ways. Our lobbies have been shut down for many months. Even developers and for engineering, for line extensions and those types of things, even there we've had to interact with the membership in some different ways, and we appreciate the flexibility of the members. Our employees and their families have been incredibly flexible and responsive. Our office team members are predominantly working from home where possible. We mobilize quickly to put the right systems in their hands, whether it would be phones and computers. And our field crews are working more independently, taking more vehicles home in the evenings, responding more frequently directly to the job site, avoiding going in our warehouses so that we keep those sites with less ingress and egress of team members going through. And then just a couple of big notes. Back in the summertime, the REC board voted and distributed, we distributed $13 million in capital credits, which was a record distribution, about 2 times, about double our normal capital credit distribution. And that was back in June to help lower power bills during the summer months and provide some financial relief to the homes and businesses we've served. Beyond that, for many months now and continuing, we have suspended any disconnections for non-payment. So the co-op is not turning off power for non-payment, nor are we putting any type of late fees or penalties or interest charges. What we are doing, and this goes back to that member services team, what we're doing is we're working very, very closely with our member owners, with those accounts that are struggling, and actually entering into long-term arrangements. In many cases, that could be 12, even up to 24 months of payment arrangements. One recent benefit that we are on the brink of notifying our members about is that the CARES Act dollars that flowed through the governor's budget have become available for utilities. And we are in the process of sending out a message to our member owners that have arrearages to let them know that we could be able to help offset some of their expenses with those CARES Act dollars that were appropriated through the governor's budget. So again, for folks that are aware of or at agencies helping families, be on the lookout for some communication in the very near future from REC over about the next 60 days. We're going to be working to, actually about the next 45 days, we're going to be working to get those dollars in the accounts of those members that have fallen behind on their power bills. Now, moving on just a little bit, and we'll kind of back up here, and we'll take a little bit of a high level view. And again, I hope the slides are working for those of you that are viewing, but the co-op's territory is increasingly diverse. Everything from suburban developments, as you see in this image, to, I would say, new waves of high density growth. We've got several pockets around our service territory that are seeing multifamily dwellings and mixed residential and commercial use. And so REC is playing our part to power up these unique and higher density sites. That extends into mission critical sites such as the hospital here or other facilities. We serve a lot of federal government facilities. We do serve a lot of sites that are very critical in terms of their reliability and the ability for us to work with them through storm events to ensure continuity of service. From a reliability perspective, we are leaning on our great team of employees, but we're also leaning on a lot of infrastructure investment and a lot of new technologies. Today, the co-op is investing about $70 million a year back into the grid for transmission, distribution, and substation improvements. Part of that is to meet that new growth of 3,000 to 3,500 new accounts a year, and part of it is just to work with those 17,000 miles of line as they age and are due for scheduled replacements. But we're also bringing a lot of technology to the table to help us be more nimble and respond to outages as quickly as possible. In Greene County, some of those investments include investment in the Ruckersville and Sandersville area, backfeed capabilities in case we lose certain circuits, a way to operate our switches and provide power more quickly, even sometimes before the problem is fully repaired. And really just to help reduce those those restoration times. Some of the infrastructure is also automated. So we're able to, that prior picture was from our dispatch center, and we're able to detect certain problems on the grid and actually operate the switches to get the power restored or partially restored even before we roll our trucks. But speaking of the trucks and the iconic yellow trucks, and I hope that all of you are getting fantastic service from our team. Our team is very proud of what they do, and I will tell you, it is rare that they're called out when it's convenient. We are always on. Our team is always on and ready to respond, and so frequently our team members are called into action, whether it be staffing the phones or manning the trucks out in the field. So frequently we're called into action during the toughest of times. So As it gets colder and darker tonight and the snow and the sleet continue to fall and it accumulates, particularly in our northern regions, that's when our people are going to be called out. And that's when our team is going to be rolling more and more into action. And so frequently when residential, folks that live around the region are kind of seeking shelter and warmth in their home, that's really when we're calling on our team members on the hottest of days, during and after storms, and then on the coldest of nights and the wind and the sleet and all that. So as you see those REC yellow trucks rolling through the region, just take a minute also and think about how hazardous the job is that they do. And again, we're also appreciative of our team members that are out there keeping the grid energized and getting those wires back up. Now, being that we're having a conversation today with Chamber of Commerce members, I want to switch gears a little bit towards economic development and call out another, what I would say, local contact. Felicia Ainsa. Felicia is our new Director of Economic Development. She is here to work with all of the counties across the entire territory to make sure that we're doing our part to land those key accounts and that commercial growth that may be occurring. So I want to make sure everyone knows that we have a dedicated team member, very talented and able to really take our power supply from ODEC, or Old Dominion Electric Co-op, and help bring that to the table and bring REC resources to the table so that we're a great partner in helping our region continue to grow. And that spans a lot of different types of needs, from tourism and agricultural commerce types of sites, such as wineries. We serve a number of wineries across the region, to really booming commercial districts that have box stores and everything that goes with those kinds of needs, and restaurants and those types of developments, and to unusual accounts such as King's Dominion. And if you start to look at the entirety of REC's territory, it's pretty remarkable. The span of the slice of Virginia that we serve, and not just the kind of the challenges of meeting all those different needs, but actually kind of the prosperity and the quality of life that we all benefit from when electricity is extended and is reliable and dependable for these businesses and tourism and commerce that we all rely on. A big part of what we do involves working closely with landowners, farmers, and large tracts of land, and making sure that we are very thoughtful and sensitive to their needs and the utilization of their land when we need to get on their property for the maintenance or enlargement of the system. And that includes the National Park Service. Some of you may be familiar with the Big Meadows Lodge up off of Skyline Drive. That's really one of the westernmost and probably the highest elevation account that the co-op serves. And so that's a good landmark to think of. And you think about our lines traversing through the National Forest, and there's just different challenges in that type of terrain and area. Now, taking another high look at just at the national level, the sources of electricity. This is a couple of years old, but 2017, and you can just kind of see that at the national level, natural gas is about 32% of our nation's power supply, coal is about 30%, and nuclear is about 20%, with renewables coming in and increasingly, but at about 17%. REC receives our wholesale power that we deliver and distribute to you, the membership, from ODEC, Old Dominion Electric Co-op. And one of the great benefits of ODEC, in addition to being a co-op that we're a member owner of, is that ODEC has a really nice and diverse power supply portfolio. And that portfolio includes, essentially brand new natural gas plants, some coal facilities that are still in use. It includes wind and hydroelectric facilities as well. It includes a hydroelectric allocation. Some of the co-ops have a hydroelectric allocation, and it also includes solar photovoltaics. Lastly, but not least, ODEC also has a portion of the North Anna nuclear output. So it's an extremely diverse energy portfolio that positions the co-op really well for years to come. And to help us really meet some of the trends that are happening in the electric sector, such as growing expectations, access to distributed energy, or automation of the grid. There's really a lot of different trends that we are beginning to deal with. And I'll mention just a couple of these. I want to spend a minute talking about distributed energy, like solar rooftop, and I want to spend another minute talking about the electric vehicles. I think those are two really big aspects of REC's challenges and opportunities moving forward. So first, with respect to, let's just talk about solar, rooftop solar. Today, the co-op has over 1,000 member owners who have interconnected systems. Most of those are rooftop solar. Some of the larger land tracts might have ground mount arrays that are of a larger scale. And so our role for those accounts and for those members is to help and advise where they need advice, to interconnect them, to leverage the grid when their system isn't producing energy, and when their system is producing more energy than they need for their site, we buy back that electricity and transport it across the grid to their neighbors. It's really a great setup that really speaks to the electric co-op model. Again, individuals with a common goal coming together to produce a really powerful outcome. We see that as well for some of our commercial and even industrial sites. And here again is the Institute for Highway Safety with a ground mount photovoltaic array. And again, so these are the types of installations that we're beginning to see more and more of, and providing both opportunity and challenges for our team as we go forward. One of the next really significant waves will be the electric vehicle wave. And probably many of you are reading and hearing about this, and even starting to see a lot more commercials and advertisements for EVs. It could be a great thing for our region with 4 interstate corridors going through and traversing through REC's territory, plus of course Route 29 and US 1. There's a lot of volume of transportation across our region. And I think to a certain extent, I think our member owners have significant commutes in some cases. Some are commuting in and out of Charlottesville or Richmond or Northern Virginia, DC area. So the prospect of electric vehicles could be a real winner for a lot of the families and businesses that we serve. The co-op's role, really 2 things that we'll be focusing on. First, having the charging infrastructure and the capacity available to facilitate. So if a home or business needs charging infrastructure, we want to have solutions to help support that. And then the second thing that we want to accomplish is provide the best rate signal for an owner of an EV. Ideally, a rate where an EV owner might be able to charge more at night or off peak and really get access to the lowest cost electricity. So more to come on that, especially as we see the major manufacturers roll out the SUVs and the big trucks in the next couple of years. Now, Sherry, we chatted earlier, you mentioned fiber or broadband in the region, and so I want to spend just one moment on this. REC continues to construct our fiber backbone network. It's a 820-mile fiber system that traverses through the counties we serve, and will interconnect, when it's completed, interconnect over 100 sites. That could be buildings, substations, towers that the co-op owns. And I just want to emphasize, REC is well positioned to help facilitate broadband with third parties and with others that are working to provide services across our region. So this is an area that's very important to us. We want to make sure that we make our poles and infrastructure available, and that we are a good partner in helping further those solutions. So lastly, as we close out, if you haven't signed up for our outage text alerts, please consider doing so. Our goal is to keep your power on. If you're off, it's good to know what we're doing about it, so those text alerts can help you. If you aren't signed up for our Smart Hub or our energy use info, I would suggest that you might take a look at REC Smart Hub. And if you haven't checked out our new website, you might want to take a minute to do so. With that, I'm gonna close on one minor, or not minor, one last fact. About 20% 20% of REC's workforce is eligible or scheduled to retire in the next 5 years. So I think we're a great home for a career. I would hope that those of you that are listening, and if you know of family or friends that would be interested in knowing more about a career at REC, we have a wonderful team of employees. Please give us a call. We would love to hear more about your interest in working with REC. And with that, Sherry, I will turn it back to you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, John. Some fabulous information. Really appreciate it. And it'll be interesting to start seeing the electric vehicles running around Greene. Haven't seen any power stations yet, but I know some individuals were putting in their homes, and so I've seen some of that. So that's really cool. Oh, look, there's Oliver. Does anyone have any questions or anything for Mr. Hewa? You can put them in the Q&A or the chat. I'd be happy to, we can take a look at those. Give you all a minute to do that. I did want to give a shout out because Oliver and Rochelle are so good about coming to all of our chamber events when we can have them in person. And it does make a big difference to have, we know we have the people that we can talk to and, that we can reach out to personally. So just wanted to give them a quick thank you for, and hopefully we'll be able to see everybody in person sometime.
Sure thing, and thank you for mentioning that. I think part of the benefit of REC is that we offer kind of the scale of a larger organization and utility, but we also have that very up close and in contact and living in the communities we serve, and I think that's really one of the great benefits of the co-op model. Yeah, I mean, I've just been impressed. You see, Rusty does have a question about the FCC Rural Digital Opportunity Fund auction. Sure, I see the question here, and thank you, Rusty. Firstly, the FCC is there was an auction back in October. The FCC is still within a quiet period, so there's very little that any of us can comment with respect to that. But just for folks that aren't familiar with that, that was a nationwide auction with the intent of providing subsidy dollars for rural communities and rural households and businesses for internet connectivity over about a 5 or 6 year period. So that's a process that we've continued to monitor. And again, we're during that quiet period, so I'm not able to say a whole lot more about that. I can mention, though, one thing that the Commonwealth is now facing a bit of a challenge and a bit of a setback here with respect to some litigation that's been filed in federal court, actually a complaint filed that we're working with here at the co-op regarding the legislation that the governor passed this past July that has been intended to facilitate electric utilities such as REC, but such as others as well, to utilize the rights of way for fiber. So that law, the constitutionality of that law, the question has been raised about that. There were some complaints that have been filed, and that process is one that could have our policymakers going back to the drawing board a little bit. So more to come in the months ahead on that. And again, REC is very interested in help facilitate broadband solutions across the region. Thank you. Dave, you guys have a question or anything? And the good news about having everything on Zoom is because of the bad weather, we didn't have to worry about people being dangerous or anything. So appreciate everybody attending on this snowy evening. We do hope to have a, oh, somebody does have one, sorry. So again, Rusty said, Greene County is underserved with regard to broadband. We have watched with fascination Nelson County's success in partnership with CVEC and Firefly. CVEC deployed fiber-based grid management and leased excess capacity to Firefly. This is a real win-win for Nelson. Can we do this here in Greene? Oh, you're on mute. I'm sorry. Yeah, I appreciate Rusty's question, and actually it didn't come up in the chat, but I appreciate the question there. And that is, those types of models are something that REC is very interested in facilitating. It's something that our board of directors takes very seriously, our role in helping to facilitate. And again, being during the FCC quiet period, there's not a whole lot more that I can about that, other than your co-op stands ready to help support end solutions that we could be a part of, and the potential for utilizing our poles or our towers or even our substation sites, if that would be of support for service providers reaching throughout the region.
Okay. Excellent. Well, again, I thank you, Mr. Hewa, and hopefully you'll be able to come out to some of our in-person events that will probably start, hopefully having about mid-2021. And everyone else, we're going to be scheduling some other, some different webinars through for the first part of 2021. So please look out for those. And the information, we did record it, so we'll post it so that people can refer back to it or share it with people who weren't able to make it. Thank you so much for joining us, and wish everybody happy holidays.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you. Enjoyed the discussion.
Thank you.